Hi everybody, welcome to a Grimdark Future Firefight Battle Report. Carnivore Scavengers versus Soul-Snatcher Cults. The increasingly unstable Legatos sector caused volcanic activity, earthquakes, and meteor impacts on many of the planets. Old and long gone buried secrets now come to the surface. On the planet Tehenor, bones of an ancient beast have caught the attention of a group of Soul-Snatcher cultists. Old bones could be worth a lot on the black market, but they're not the only ones interested. Suddenly, they're approached by another strange group of scavengers. The Carnivore Scavengers is led by a veteran. He is armed with an elite scrap rifle and a junk sword. With him, he has two groups of nomads, each with 3 scavengers. They are armed with scrap rifles and close combat weapons. And lurking in ambush, 2 vultures. They have the flying keyword. They are armed with stinger bombs, energy rifles, and junk sword. And all the scavengers have the carnivore ability, so they have +1 in melee. The Soul Snatchers are led by a cult leader. He is armed with a cult burst pistol and a close combat weapon, and then he has a megaphone. With him, he has 2 Neophytes, one armed with shotgun and one with grenade launcher. And then we have 2 acolytes, one with sergeant pistol and razor whip, and another one with pistol and mutant claws, and finally a Soul Snatcher, fast scout strider and armed with heavy claws. The area surrounding the old ancient bones are very important in this mission, symbolized with 3 objectives. Whoever controls the most objectives at the end of round 4 will be the winner. And if for some reason there is no clear winner at the end of round 4, we will have an extra round. The Carnivore Scavengers will roll the black dice and the Soul-Snatcher Cults will roll the green dice. Let's roll off. And no clear winner here. We'll do it again. Looks like the Soul-Snatchers will activate first. Just before the first round, the Soul-Snatcher will use the scout ability and move. Round number 1. The cult leader will begin the round by shouting into his megaphone, so all units within 12 inches of him will be able to move extra, as if they were fast. So this acolyte can rush 4 inches extra and take him all the way up to cover behind the crate. And the leader of the scavengers will also call his troops forward. This group of nomads will take cover behind this machine building. Next up, the Neophyte with the shotgun. He will move past the objective and take cover. The other group of nomads will advance 6 inches into cover behind these crates. They are armed with scrap rifles. They are not effective, but they have a 24 inches range, so they can just shoot the Soul Snatcher. And they have 3 shots, and they will need 5s to hit. There will be 1 hit. The Soul Snatcher has a defense of 4, but it's in cover, so it will only need a roll of 3, and it's good. The bullet will be absorbed by the barrels. So, being under fire, the Soul Snatcher immediately moves. It's fast, and it can reach a position here close to the objective, and it will still be in cover. The scavenger leader will move. He advances 6 inches, and from this position, he can see and shoot at the acolyte. Again, he will need 5s to hit, so there will be 1 hit. And with the bonus for cover, the acolyte will have to roll a 4. Again, there will be no hits. The next activation is the Neophyte with the grenade launcher. He will expose himself from this position, but he will also be able to take a shot at the group of nomads. He will need to hit with a 4. And he is on target. The grenade will hit, and it will ignore any cover bonus. So the group of nomads will need 5s, and only one of them will jump away from the blast. 2 nomads will be immediately killed. There are no scavengers left to move in this round, so instead the acolyte will rush towards the objective, and he will claim the first objective for the Soul-Snatcher Cults. And finally, the cult leader will also move into a better position. That was the end of the first round. The Soul-Snatcher Cults seem to have everything under control. They have claimed one objective, and they have been quite effective with their firepower and defenses. So let's proceed to round 2. At the beginning of round 2, the scavengers will deploy their 2 ambush vultures. One of them will deploy here on top of the container, and the other one will deploy behind the Soul-Snatcher Cult position. And since they finished first, they will begin this round. And the first to activate is this vulture. He will fly over the Soul-Snatcher, and he will try to drop a stinger bomb. He will need a 6 to hit, almost, but not enough. Instead, he will land behind the Soul-Snatcher and charge. With the Carnivore ability, he will hit on 3s, and there will be 2 hits. One of them will be rending. So the Soul-Snatcher must try to block these hits. He will need a 6 to block the rending hit, and he will not block. And the other hit, the regular hit, he will need a 5. He will also fail that one. So 2 hits, and he will take 2 wounds and immediately roll on the wound chart. He rolls a 2, so he is not taken out, but he is shaken. The Neophyte is up next. He is not out of grenades yet, so he will try again to hit the group of nomads. Cover will not help them. He will need a 4 to hit, but this time he misfires the grenade. Instead, the nomads will now advance forward. They will claim the objective, and they will fire back at the Neophyte with the grenade launcher. They have 3 shots with their rifles, still needing 5s, and none of them will hit. So they have exposed themselves now, and the cult leader will certainly take advantage of that. So he will advance, and he is within his 12 inches firing range with his burst cult pistol. Dangerous weapon at close range, but he will only hit with one of his shots. And the nomads will block that shot easily. The second vulture will advance on top of the rock, and from this position he can see the acolyte guarding the objective. He fires 1 shot with his energy rifle, and he needs a 4. And he will hit. It's an AP1 weapon, so the acolyte must roll a 6, and that's exactly what he does. He's safe. The shotgunner will advance in cover behind the barrels, also with a 12 inches range, and he can take a shot at the remaining nomad. 2 shots, he will hit on a 4, that will be 1 hit, and with the AP, the remaining nomad must come up with a roll of 5, because he's in cover, and he rolls a 6. Good for him that he was in cover. Now it's his turn to activate, and he will advance close enough to the objective to claim it. He will raise the blue banner, and he will fire back at the Neophyte with the shotgun. He will hit with a roll of 5, and he will roll a 6. Solid hit. The Neophyte is in cover, so let's see if he can block the shot. He will need a 4, and that's not enough. He will be hit and take 1 wound. This could be the end for him. Let's see the roll on the wound chart. No, it's not enough to take him out, but he will be shaken. The next unit to activate is this Acolyte. He has a vulture here, close to a Soul-Snatcher that he could go for, but he could also aim for this vulture. So with several choices, he will decide to turn around and focus his fire on this vulture. One shot, he will hit on a 4, and he will hit nothing. The elite scavenger leader will advance. He will fire at the cult leader with 2 shots, hitting on 5s, and he will hit with 1 of them. It will take a roll of 5 to block, and the leader is not able to block, so he will take 1 wound, and that will not affect him much at the moment. He still has 2 wounds left. The Soul-Snatcher will activate, and it's no longer shaken. And finally, the Acolyte here will move into a charge, and being so close to the objective, he will contest it, and no one will claim it at the moment. And then he will charge the nomads. He will hit with 1 of his attacks with his mutant claw, but the nomads will resist the attack. Instead, they can fight back now with 3 close combat attacks. Normally, they will need 5s, but with the Carnivore ability, they will need 4s. This could be dangerous. Well, no. A really bad attack. But that's how it is. So, the Acolyte will move back 1 inch, still close enough to contest the objective. At the end of round 2, there is a lot of fighting and shooting in the middle of the battlefield. The Soul-Snatcher Cults still have control over 1 objective, but the Carnivore Scavengers control another one. The final objective is contested by both. It's the 3rd round. The vulture here will activate first, and he will try an assault. That means he can fire first and then charge afterwards, but he will have a -1 modifier to both attacks. So first his shot will be a 5 instead of a 4, and he will not hit. Then he will fly towards and over the Neophyte and drop his stinger bomb. That will be his 2nd attack. And he will need a 6 and also fail that one. And finally he will end his assault with a charge, also with -1. So he will have his Carnivore to give him a +1 and then a -1 for the assault. At the end of the day, he will hit nothing. That will give the Neophyte a chance to fight back. I don't know if he's going to hit him with the grenade launcher, but he will try. He will need a 4 to be successful with his close combat attack. And somehow, he will hit the vulture back. So this assault could be a disaster for the vulture. He will need to block the close combat attack. And he finally got himself together and blocked the attack. So none of them will take any wounds, and he will back off. Now could be a very good idea to activate the Soul-Snatcher, but the cultists also could take advantage of the Neophyte with the grenade launcher. He's still very much alive, so he will advance and take another grenade shot at the nomads, and he is once again on target. So he will target his grenade just behind them, and the blast will cover 3 inches, and that will include all 3 nomads. So they must come up with rolls of 5. And there is 1 good, and there will be 2 failed defense rolls. Again, 2 nomads will be blasted out of action, leaving only 1 behind. But unfortunately, that will leave the Soul-Snatcher exposed to yet another attack. But instead, the vulture will again assault the Acolyte here. He will first shoot, hit nothing, then he will drop his stinger bomb, again hit nothing, and finally the charge. And he will need 4s instead of 3s because of the -1 modifier. But in this case, he will hit with both his close combat attacks, and the Acolyte will fail both defense rolls, so finally a successful assault. 2 wounds to the Acolyte, and he will face a rather tricky roll on the wound chart. And it's a roll of 4 that will immediately take him out. And since the Acolyte is now removed, the Vulture will capture the objective as well. So everything is good except that he forgot all about the Soul-Snatcher behind him. He's fast and he is angry and he will charge. 2 attacks, he will hit on a 3, and he is very, very confident with his attack. He will hit and shred the Vulture. It will take rolls of 5 to block the Soul-Snatcher's claws, and he fails them both. So now he himself will take 2 wounds. A roll of 4 or more on the wound chart will make him take his last breath. And it is a 4. The Vulture is shredded by the Soul-Snatcher. He will be killed, and the objective is back on cultist hands. The red banner is raised, but not for long. The Nomad will charge, and he will run past the Neophyte with the shotgun and charge the Soul-Snatcher. But he will not hit. Instead, the Soul-Snatcher can now fight back, but he's fatigued. He will have to roll 6s, and he is too tired to aim his claws at anything. The Nomad will move back, but he will be close enough to take the red banner down again. This is a fight over objectives, and it certainly shows. So fighting over this objective is the Acolyte with the mutant claw, and he will charge and he will hit twice with his claw. And that will force the Nomad to block with 6s, and he is very far from a successful roll here. So 2 wounds. That will be difficult for him to resist on the wound chart. But luckily for him, he also rolls very low here, so he will be shaken. And when a unit is shaken, it will count as fatigued, and it will not be able to contest the objective. So even though the Acolyte moves back here, he will claim the objective again. Shaken units will also fail morale tests, but none of the forces are down to half strength yet. The Carnivore Scavenger leader will now charge the cult leader. It's the battle of the leaders, and he will hit with one of his close combat attacks. He's armed with a junk sword, and the cult leader will not be able to resist that attack. He will take yet another wound, and he is heavily wounded now. But he has a chance to fight back. 2 attacks. He will hit on a roll of 4, and yes, the cult leader will land both hits. The scavenger leader must defend, and he has a weak defense of 5, and he will not defend any of the close combat hits. He will also take 2 wounds now. They wound each other, but they are both still standing. The fight isn't over yet, though. The scavenger leader will back off, and that will enable the cult leader to aim his burst pistol at point blank range. 4 shots. He'll need a 4. 2 hits. So his burst will hit the scavenger leader. And with his defense of 5, he will not be able to defend any of the hits. So he will take 2 more wounds, and that will take him to a total of 4. He's heavily wounded. Will he be able to survive the roll on the wound chart? He will need a 3 or less, and exactly a roll of 3 will shake him to the core, but he will still be on the battlefield. Another unit, the Nomad, is shaken, but he will use his activation to shake off that condition, and he will contest the objective. The Neophyte Shotgunner will activate as the last in this round. He is no longer shaken, and that will conclude the round. One objective is controlled by the Carnivore Scavengers, and the other objectives are contested by both. Nothing is yet decided. Both leaders are wounded. Let's go into the fourth and final round. The Vulture will activate first. He will charge the cult leader, but he will fly over the Neophyte with the grenade launcher, try to hit him with a stinger bomb, but yet again, those stinger bombs are not effective. But he will charge the cult leader, he will have 2 attacks, and he will hit with one of them. That could be enough to take the cult leader down. He will have to block with a roll of 6, and he will block the hit. His only option to defend the attack, and he took it. Now he can fight back. 2 attacks, and he will hit with one of them. The Vulture has a slightly better defense of 4, but that will not help. He will still be hit by the close combat attack. So the Vulture will back off and he will take 1 wound. He will be forced to roll on the wound chart. And the roll is a 3, so he will be shaken. The cult leader has proven to be very tough to take down. He has faced close combat attacks and shots, and now he again faces the scavenger leader with his burst pistol, and wow, he will aim and shoot and hit with all 4 of his shots. I can't imagine the scavenger leader will find a way to survive this. He will block 2 of the shots, but he will also take 2 more wounds. Now he's up to 6 wounds. The only thing that can save him now is a roll of 1 on the wound chart. Everything else will kill him. And as expected, he's not able to survive that. The scavengers are without their leader. They still control most objectives though. Now this nomad will face the Soul-Snatcher. He will hit with his 1 attack and the Soul-Snatcher will not block the attack. And he is already wounded. He will take his 3rd wound. This nomad attack could actually take him out. Let's see the roll on the wound chart. And the Soul-Snatcher rolls a 5, and that's way too much. He is killed, cut down by the scrap rifles, knives, and the nomad will also now claim the objective. Now the scavengers control 2 objectives. The fight over the 3rd objective will result in 2 attacks from the acolyte, but he will not hit with any of them, so this nomad also has a chance to fight back with his 1 attack. He'll hit on a 5, and he will also swing his weapons into thin air. The acolyte will move back, and the objective is still contested by both forces. But now is the chance to change that. The nomad will step slightly back and aim his scrap rifle. But even on that short range, he's not able to hit the acolyte. The cultists still have the most units to activate. They have to think strategically now. The Neophyte with the grenade launcher will advance close enough to contest the objective, and he will fire his grenade launcher. But he will not hit, but he will contest the objectives, and the blue scavenger banner will be removed. The only activation left now is the Neophyte with the shotgun, and he will not shoot. He will instead rush towards this objective, and he will claim it on his own. So instead of the blue scavenger banner, the Soul-Snatcher Cults will raise the red banner. And that will conclude the 4th round. A strategic victory for the Soul-Snatcher Cults. They will control 1 objective, and both other objectives are contested by both. But it's a victory nonetheless. The Carnivore Scavengers will retreat. They will not get the bones they came for. So instead, the cult leader and his surviving forces will be digging in the old bones. Thanks a lot for watching this battle report. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I hope you'll join me for future bad reps.